I'm Steve Denning. I'm a professional musician and music instructor. This is my studio, and these are my students. I'm going to prove to my colleagues and to all of America that I can take 6 middle-aged women who have never played music before, teach them instruments, turn them into a band, and take them to the top of the charts.
And it was the week before I had discovered a rock group of 5 musicians that really looked pretty scraggy, and most groups look fairly groomed, you know, so it was a little out of the ordinary. Yeah. But they were new, a little older than you've been together. That's how new they were. But they were working in a club right down the street from my office, and I could hear them every night, you know, and they were getting paid $10 a night. And working their fannies off, you know. So I approached them one time and I said, I would like to consider managing you if you would be so adaptable to it, and I'll see what I can do to get you a decent job. And so they thought they'd give it a try. And it was a week later that I'm taking into a film interview, and it turns out it's going to be for an Elvis Presley movie. Not just a movie, but an Elvis Presley movie. And of course, he was one of the biggest movie makers at that period of time. And so we became the G-Men, Georgie and the G-Men, in Double Trouble. In the meantime, I went to a club called the Red Rooster out in the valley, and apparently it was very hard to get in. Every rock group wanted to play at the Red Rooster, and most of them couldn't even get an audition. I walked in, showed them the picture, and showed them the contract with MGM, and they said, yeah, I'd like to listen to him. And so they wound up playing at the Red Rooster, and for several weeks or months, you know. So again, I did good for them, and again, that's what I applaud you for, to be doing something that furthers the interest of somebody that cannot do it on their own.
That's what it's about, right?
Nobody even knows who this man is, which is sad because he has done so much.
There's a club out in Pasadena called the Ice House. Mostly it was folk music. And there were 2 people on the bill that night, in addition to my group, the Storytellers, that I wondered why they were even there. One was Joe Cocker. The other one, by the way, was Steve Martin. And later in life, we did some shows together, but quite honestly, I didn't give Steve much credence, because he came out with his banjo, never played it, and he had an arrow sticking through his hat, and I thought, what is he trying to do, you know? But anyway, the Storytellers finished doing their performance, and we were out in the audience, and that's when they announced Joe Cocker, and I thought, I got to see who this is. With a name like Joe Cocker, I thought, he's brave to come out. You know? Sorry, Joe. But anyway, he came out, and his hair was all tousled, and I thought, well, that's cool. You know, he wasn't a pretty boy like a lot of guys like Rick and Fabian and all that. Another friend of mine, Leon Russell. Do you remember Leon Russell, the piano player, keyboardist? And anyway, Leon picked up on Joe Cocker and created Mad Dogs and Englishmen, and it was pretty good success. And I was really happy that happened.
I listened to all that older music because I have older brothers and sisters.
When I retired, I went into interior design in a way, not as a decorator myself, but into a furniture manufacturer. And we did a show in Los Angeles. Well, this one decorator came in, and she wanted some pretty expensive items that we had, and her bill was $4,000, and she paid $1,000, and she says, I'll bring you the other 3. Well, in the meantime, when the show was over, we loaded up her truck, and we still hadn't had the $3,000. I think you know where I'm going with this. She didn't pay. I found the address, and I knocked on the door, and this lovely young thing answers the door. It was her assistant. And I said, "Is so-and-so here?" And no, she's with a client, but she should be back in an hour if you want to come back. And I said, "I'd just soon stay if I could." And she said, "Oh, sure, no problem, come on in." And she says, "Can I fix you a cup of coffee?" And of course, me, I'm a coffee hound from the word go, and I'd like to think it's my only vice. And but anyway, I said, "Yeah." And she says, "Is instant okay?" I said, "Sure, why not?" You know, I mean, it wasn't my favorite, but you know, that's what she offered. And so I went in and followed her into the kitchen and sat down, and of course we all know how to make instant coffee. You boil the water, you put the water in the pot, and you wait till it gets hot, and you add it to the cup with instant powder, and sit down and have a cup of coffee. And it doesn't take all that long. It's not exactly instant, but it's as close as you can get to it. So anyway, she's pouring the water, and I'm looking over here to the side, and I saw the dining room, and over in the far corner of the dining room was a guitar. And I said, "Oh, you got a guitar?" She said, "Oh, that's not mine." I said, "Oh, okay." And she says, "That's my ex-husband's guitar." And told me where she was coming from, you know. But anyway, it looked like it hadn't been played forever, and I said, I said to her, I said, "Does it work?" She says, "Does it work?" Far better than my ex-husband ever did. And so I said, can I play it? She says, "I guess, if do you know how?" I said, "Yeah, I guess." So I went over and I got the guitar. Of course, the water's boiling. I had to tune the guitar. And when I tune it, to check my tuning, I play an A chord or an E chord, an open chord. I think you can appreciate what I'm saying. There's certain resonance to it. And I do sort of a Johnny Cash thing. I walk the line, and I do that as like thinking music, you know? And it's just like, let's see. It's sort of a dumb sound, but I've written a lot of songs with that sound.
It sounds great.
It's trying.
Yeah. So anyway, I was going like this, and it was in tune, and all of a sudden, I'm getting this inspiration, lyric-wise. And you remember now, they were decorators, interior designers, and they were pretty good ones too. And I looked around the kitchen, and it was really the neatest little place. They had all these wonderful little knickknacks and artifacts on the wall.
That they'd stolen from me.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, maybe they had, but they arranged them beautifully.
It's a good thing I'm younger and not that old, because he was absolutely adorable.
I started writing this song right off the top of my head. I sang it as I was playing, and she hadn't even served the coffee yet. And she served the coffee, and before I had my coffee, I played it one more time. She brought out a little cassette recorder, and so it was officially it was recorded on tape.
Wow.
Before my coffee even got cold. Wow. Now, if that isn't an encouraging thought about you that want to write a song, and you know, it all relies on an inspiration or a personal experience that you've had. That's where the ideas come from. And in this case, the inspiration and idea came from all the little things I saw on the wall. And so, here's what happened. Tell you the story. And I called it the Decorator Song. What else? She had apples, pears, flowers on her wallpaper, rag dolls hanging in her kitchen, knickknacks, bread racks, buddy, that ain't all. And that's the thing I'm missing. She had a decorator come to the house on commission to hang a little crystal chandelier over a great white pillow on an oriental rug, where I'd sit for hours just nibbling on her ear. She had a macrame plant holder over in the far corner, hand-tied lace upon the table. She had wind chimes and good times every single time I saw her whenever I was able. She had that decorator fine, an old-time television. It had a very, very tiny screen, and we had to sit so close, and that's the thing I love the most. She had the cutest little place I'd ever seen. Believe me, I never forget a place. Anyway, I ran out of things to write about in the kitchen, and so I decided to, I got up and I went down the hall, and walked down the hall, and I made a right turn. How could I go wrong? And there it was, my favorite room in the whole structure. Utility closet. No, I think it was the bedroom. Was I heard that. She had a king-size Afghan spread across the bed, and the candles, they scented of strawberry. She had a unique antique mirror overhead. It was all so very, very. Oh, that old decorator had such a touch for nostalgia, but as touches go, there's none that can compare with the touch of that lady with the cutest little place. And I'd give $1 million to be back there, 'cause she had apples and pears, flowers on her wallpaper, rag dolls hanging in her kitchen, wind chimes and good times every single time I saw her. Oh, that's what I'm missing. La-di-da-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da-di-da. Oh, yeah, I can still see it now, right to this day. And I'd give $1 million to be back there. Well, at least a $20 bill to be back there. Has anybody got change for a cool 50? I've had so much fun with that song.
If you can't walk away feeling enlightened, there's something wrong with you.
Going back to what you've been telling them, and what you all know, I'm just going to underline it. Dedication, you know, to what you're doing, and concentration, and the confidence that you can and will do it, and it will happen. If not now, or tomorrow, or even next week, it will happen.
Seeing him again just brought it all back to me, and it made me realize how important it is to try and inspire other people, especially young people.
Johnny Bachelor does things Johnny Bachelor's way. You know, he goes and he writes songs his way, and he writes about what he wants to write about, and he's truly his own artist. And hopefully that's where I'm taking these ladies, is down that same path of originality. Like Billie Holiday once said, you can't copy anybody and end up with anything. If you copy, it means you're working without any real feeling. No two people on earth are alike, and it's gotta be that way in music, or it isn't music.
I should have asked him if he knew Carlos Santana.